Hey everybody, we are back with rectangular prisms. So when we are talking about rectangular prisms, we are talking about a three-dimensional shape that you would probably call a box, okay? And there are two things that you can calculate when you are talking about a rectangular prism. One is how much space fits inside of the rectangular prism, and that is called volume. And then the other is how much material is on the outside of the rectangular prism, and that is called surface area. So in Virginia, on our formula sheet, we have three formulas that go with rectangular prisms. I'll be honest, Miss Voss and I prefer to just use the first one and the last one, but we will go through what all of the formulas mean. And using the first and second one, they both get you the same answer. We just prefer to use the first one most of the time because we think our students do better with it. So let's go through each of the letters. I think you're probably familiar with a lot of these already. LWH is a formula a lot of our kids have seen before. So the L is length, the W is width, and the H is height. Now, this middle formula, V equals big B H, is a formula that was just recently added, and the capital letter B means area of the base. And this becomes really important when we talk about pyramids, which I think is why they probably added it to our formula sheet in case you wanted to use it, because it's basically the same for every 3D shape. Um, we just don't use it a ton for rectangular prisms. So the base of a rectangular prism is a rectangle. And the formula for the area of a rectangle is just length times width. So in this second formula, basically what it's done is it's replaced the LW with just the letter B. But you would still have to do the same amount of work either way. You would still be doing length times width and then multiplying that by the height. But that's what all those letters mean. Let's look at some examples, or let's talk about what some of these things mean. And I think I already covered some of this because I was getting ahead of myself. But volume is the amount of space occupied by a three-dimensional figure. So how much space does this box take up? A lot of the times we talk about the inside of the shape. So how much can I fit inside of it? But it is how much space it takes up. And then the surface area is the total area of the surface, no surprise, of a three-dimensional figure. And a lot of the times when we are talking about the surface area, we refer to it as the outside of a shape. So like how much stuff can I fit in a box and how much wrapping paper do I need to go around the box? That's basically what volume and surface area mean. Um, the last little part that goes with this explanation here is for you to try to think of an example of a rectangular prism and then what would be the volume in that and what would be the surface area in that. So if you want to take a second and think about a rectangular prism, and then I'll give you my example. So my example is a cereal box. And the volume of a cereal box is going to be the cereal. Now, I know there's a bag in the box and I know that there's air in the box, but if you filled the box all the way up with cereal, that would be the volume. And then the surface area would be the cardboard that it takes to make that box. So surface area is the outside, the cardboard. Volume is the inside, so the cereal. All right, let's do a couple of problems here. Here is a rectangular prism. Okay, we're going to find the length, the width, the height, and the area of the base, just so that you can get practice with that if you do want to use that formula. So the good news is the length, the width, and the height don't matter. Okay, you can pick whichever one to be whichever one. I think most people would probably say that the height is 12. But as far as the length and the width go, those really truly do not matter. So I'm going to say that the length is 9 inches, the width is 7 inches, the height is 12 inches. And again, you can mix those up if you want to, because if I knock the box over, the height is going to suddenly change. Okay. Now, for the area of the base is this part down here. If I want to find the area of that, that is a rectangle. To find the area of a rectangle, you would do length times width. So in this case, the length and the width are 9 and 7. So length times width would be 63 inches squared. And when we get to calculating volume and surface area, or volume, it's not going to matter if you use these three numbers or if you use those two numbers. You are going to get the same answer. So let's do it. Let's take that exact rectangular prism and let's use these formulas. I'm actually going to pause the video while I type in these formulas, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I went ahead and put all three formulas in, and we are going to find volume and surface area using all of them. The only thing I want to point out is that in the surface area formula, I just put S equals, and that's because if you put SA, the calculator will not work. It doesn't like it when two capital letters are together like that. So I'm going to look at what I wrote down, and I'm going to put all of those pieces in. So I know that the length is 9. I know that the width is 7. I know that the height is 12. And then I'm going to stop there for just a second. We'll come back and we'll put in the big B. But if you look, the first volume worked. It gave us 756, and volume is always cubed. And for surface area, it gave us 510, and just like regular area, surface area is squared. But I didn't get an answer for this other formula, for the big B, H, and that's because I haven't told the calculator what capital B equals. So we found that capital B was 63, and now if I scroll up, you can see that both volume formulas gave me the same answer. So it doesn't matter which one you use, it's just which one are you more comfortable with. They both give 756. Okay, we have one more example. I'm going to just go through and delete all of these numbers. And then let's see what this question is asking for. It says, Tommy built a wooden box. Assuming the box is hollow, how much wood did it take to build this figure? So if we're making the outside of the box out of wood, but we're not putting any wood in the middle, that's surface area. So I'm going to delete these volume formulas. I'm going to get rid of those. And then I'm going to go through and label all of my parts. And remember, it doesn't matter which is which. I think most people would probably say the height is 8, but if you don't and you put something else, that's okay. I'm going to say 15 is the length and 20 is the width. But again, you can mix those up into any order you want. So in mine, I put 15 for the length, 20 for the width, and 8 for the, and 8 for the height. And I don't need this big B because I'm not doing volume. So there's my answer, 1,160 square inches. And that's pretty much all that there is to rectangular prisms. If you decide which volume formula you like better, that's really the only decision you have to make, and you should be good to go. So I will see you next time.